Gentlemen, have you ever met a woman who seemed absolutely perfect, confident, magnetic, almost too good to be true? But deep down, something felt just a little off, as if there was a story she wasn't telling you. Ignore that feeling, and you could lose years of your life, not to mention your self-respect. The truth is, women just like men reveal patterns about their past, often without realizing it. And if you know what to look for, you can avoid heartbreak before it even begins. Today, I'm exposing 7 hidden signs. A woman's relationship history is way more complicated than she lets on. And trust me, the 4th one is the most dangerous manipulation tactic I've ever seen, ready to protect your heart and your future. Let's get into it, because these are the truths no one else will tell you. Let's start with the very first sign, a red flag that most men completely miss. Have you ever met a woman who seems incredibly comfortable with intimacy right from the start? She looks you in the eye, leans in, maybe even drops a sly hint about her past relationships as if she's just ordering a cup of coffee. And you're thinking, wow, she's so confident, she's open, she must be really into me. But here's the hard truth. Gentlemen, what you're seeing might not be genuine confidence at all. In fact, it could be a sign of something deeper, something that should make you pause. See, a healthy woman who values real connection doesn't rush into physical closeness. She has natural boundaries, not because she's shy or old-fashioned, but because she knows real intimacy should be earned, not given away like a handshake. When that barrier is missing, it's not a sign of liberation. It's a sign that those lines have been crossed too many times before. Think about it like a lock that's been forced open over and over. Eventually, it stops protecting anything. When a woman has had too many high-intensity experiences without emotional depth, intimacy can lose its magic. It becomes routine, mechanical, something to do, not something to feel. Here's what you should look for. Does she blush when you turn the conversation intimate, or does she glide through it like she's done it 1,000 times? Does she touch your arm, lean in, create sparks without even a flicker of vulnerability? That's not chemistry. That's muscle memory. And here's where it gets dangerous. You might mistake her comfort for a rare connection. You'll think we've got this wild spark. But what's really happening is she's reenacting a script, and you're just the latest co-star. Now let's move to the second sign, a pattern that's even more subtle and just as dangerous, the permanent emotional wall. This one is so easy to miss, even for smart, emotionally intelligent men. She can be charming, playful, she might even share stories that seem personal. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice you never truly get close to her. It's like she's giving you a tour of her house, but every important door is locked. You can hang out in the hallway, maybe admire the living room, but you never see the rooms that matter. This isn't the same as healthy boundaries. No, this is a wall built over years, brick by brick, after too many heartbreaks, betrayals, or disappointments. When conversations stay on the surface, when she jokes or dodges deep questions, or when she never truly opens up, no matter how much you share about yourself, that's the wall. And the longer you ignore it, the more you'll find yourself giving and giving, hoping she'll finally let you in. But that wall is there for a reason, and loving someone who hides behind it will quietly drain you until one day you realize you've been alone the whole time. And we're just getting started. The next sign is one most men overlook, but it can turn a relationship into a minefield if you don't spot it early. Let's keep going. Now let's dive into the 3rd hidden sign, and trust me, this one gets overlooked all the time. The overcrowded male network. You've probably heard women say, "Oh, he's just a friend," more times than you can count. And sometimes, sure, it's innocent. But when her phone lights up day and night with texts from guys you've never met, when every story she tells somehow involves a different male friend, or when her social life is overflowing with men, gentlemen, you're not looking at a coincidence. You're looking at a pattern. See, for some women, constantly keeping men in their orbit is about much more than just friendship. It's about validation, a quiet, constant hit of attention. And that attention can get addictive, just like a sugar rush. You'll notice she keeps in touch with multiple ex-boyfriends or has male best friends who have clearly signaled they'd jump at a chance to be more than friends. And if you ever ask about it, she'll laugh it off. He's harmless. We've known each other forever. But let's be honest, harmless men don't send flirty midnight texts, and they definitely don't call when you're out of town. Watch for another clue. Does she have close female friendships? If not, that's a signal. Deep female friendships require real vulnerability, and women who are addicted to quick surface-level validation often avoid those kinds of connections. Instead, they fill their social calendars with men, because men offer attention without demanding depth. Here's the kicker: that orbit of guys also acts as her backup plan. If things get rocky with you, she doesn't have to start from scratch. She can simply move someone up from the bench. And that's a recipe for insecurity and mistrust in any relationship. But let's move on to the fourth sign. Maybe the most dangerous of all, she uses intimacy as currency. Listen closely, because this manipulation is subtle and it's powerful. In a healthy relationship, intimacy is a way to express love, connection, and trust. But for some women, it becomes a tool, a way to get what they want or to control the emotional climate of the relationship. Here's how it works. Things get tense between you, maybe after an argument or when you say no to something she wants. Suddenly, she becomes extra affectionate, seductive, and the tension just disappears. You might think you've resolved your conflict, but what's really happened is the problem got paid off, not solved. On the flip side, when she's upset or wants to make a point, intimacy is the first thing she withholds. It's not about mood, it's about leverage. She's learned that your desire for closeness is a powerful tool, and she's not afraid to use it to get what she wants. Pay attention to the timing. Does affection always seem to arrive when you've done something for her and disappear when she's displeased? If it feels transactional, it probably is. When intimacy becomes currency, you're no longer an equal partner. You're just a customer, paying for her approval with your actions. If you recognize these patterns, it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture. But we're not done yet. The next sign reveals a level of skill that can turn any man into a puppet if he's not careful. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the fifth hidden sign, and for a lot of men, this is where things get seriously confusing. I'm talking about the woman who has mastered the art of reading and controlling men. Now, every great relationship involves some level of understanding and empathy. But what we're talking about here isn't just intuition, it's calculation. She's not just tuned in to your emotions, she's running a private lab on male psychology, and you're the latest experiment. Picture this: she compliments you in ways that go straight to your core. She notices things others overlook: the way you carry yourself, your ambitions, even the insecurities you try to hide. At first it feels amazing. You finally feel seen, appreciated, even admired. But here's the catch. This instant, almost uncanny compatibility isn't always a sign of a genuine soul connection. More often, it means she's incredibly skilled at picking up on your patterns and using them to her advantage. You'll notice she knows exactly when to praise you, when to pull away, when to spark your desire, and when to leave you craving her attention. One minute you feel like a king, the next you're scrambling for her approval. She's a master at creating emotional highs and lows, keeping you off balance, addicted to the next moment of validation. The danger: men often mistake this roller coaster for passion. They chase those highs, desperate to win her over, not realizing they're being conditioned. The longer you stay on that ride, the more control she has over your emotions and your self-worth. Now let's move to the sixth sign, one that might seem subtle but reveals a lot about her view of relationships. She has no shame or discretion about her past. Let's set the record straight. This isn't about judging someone for not being perfect or expecting a woman to erase her history. It's about emotional boundaries and self-respect. When a woman talks about her past relationships in vivid, casual detail, almost like she's sharing vacation stories, she's showing you that intimacy has lost its rarity. It's no longer sacred. It's just another anecdote. Ask yourself, does she openly share the number of partners she's had? Does she speak about past relationships as if they're trophies? Is there a total lack of hesitation? No sense that some things are private or special? That's a red flag, gentlemen. When intimacy is treated as casual, it loses its emotional weight, and so does the connection you're trying to build. Worse still, if she's quick to flip the script accusing you of being insecure or old-fashioned for even asking about her past, it's not just defensiveness. It's an unwillingness to acknowledge how her past patterns might be affecting her present. This lack of discretion isn't just about her history. It's a warning about how she'll handle your relationship, too. If privacy doesn't matter to her now, don't expect her to protect the secrets or sacred moments you share together. But there's one last sign, and if you ignore this one, you're almost guaranteed to repeat history. Let's finish strong. Now let's break down the seventh and final sign, a pattern that hides in plain sight a history of short-term relationships. At first, it might seem harmless. After all, who hasn't had a few relationships that didn't work out? But what you need to look for is the pattern, the repeated cycle of whirlwind romance, intense attraction, and then a quick collapse. Listen carefully. If a woman's entire dating history reads like a playlist of 3-month hits, where every connection burns hot fizzles out, and she's on to the next, this is not just bad luck or not meeting the right guy. It's a blueprint for how she handles love, intimacy, and commitment. Ask her about her past. Are her stories always about how timing was wrong, how the other person changed, or how things just weren't meant to be? Rarely do you hear her take real ownership of the pattern. This matters more than most men realize because the real work of building something lasting doesn't happen in the honeymoon phase. It's forged in those moments when things get tough, when attraction cools, when differences show, when life throws real challenges your way. If someone never sticks around past that initial spark, it's usually because they're hooked on the rush of newness, the butterflies, the thrill of being desired, the high of the chase. And just like any addiction, when the buzz fades, they're out the door already scanning for their next fix. Here's the danger for you if she's never stayed long enough to develop the skills that real commitment demands, like communication, forgiveness, and perseverance. Then your relationship is almost guaranteed to follow the same arc. You'll experience the intensity, the excitement, and then the sudden emotional distance, the familiar script. And if you confront her about it, chances are you'll hear all the same external excuses, never a reflection on her own patterns. So what does all this add up to? When you look at these 7 signs, no barriers to intimacy, emotional walls, constant male orbit, weaponized affection, calculated manipulation, lack of discretion, and a string of brief relationships, you're not just seeing random quirks, you're seeing the footprints of her experience, the habits and defenses she's developed over time. Patterns don't lie, gentlemen. And here's your wake-up call. You can't change someone's patterns simply by loving them harder or hoping you'll be the exception. Lasting change happens only when someone chooses to confront those patterns head-on, and that's rare. So protect your standards like your future depends on it, because it does. If you see these signs, don't rationalize them away. Trust what you're seeing. Have the courage to walk away if your gut tells you it's not right. And above all, don't be afraid to share your experiences. Drop a comment, subscribe for more real talk, and help another man see what you wish you'd seen sooner. Your standards aren't negotiable. Guard them always. Let's bring it all together. By now, you've seen just how crucial it is to recognize the signs, not just in her words, but in her consistent patterns and behaviors. Too often, men fall for the surface charm, the excitement of the chase, or the hope that love can fix everything. But the truth: patterns don't lie. They're the roadmap to someone's emotional world, their readiness for real commitment, and the kind of relationship you can expect. Here's what most guys get wrong. They ignore the warning signs because they're blinded by attraction or convinced that they'll be the one to finally change her. But listen carefully, no amount of charm, patience, or self-sacrifice can erase someone else's emotional blueprint. If she's shown you a lack of boundaries, emotional walls, an orbit of male attention, manipulative use of intimacy, a tendency to control, disregard for discretion, and a string of short-term relationships, you're looking at deep-rooted patterns, not random quirks. You have to understand these patterns are built over time. They're the result of repeated choices, unresolved wounds, and habits that are hard to break. Every one of those 7 signs is like a thread in a much bigger tapestry. A story that tells you whether she's truly capable of building the deep, secure connection you deserve. So what's your job as a man? First, stop ignoring your gut. That little voice inside you that feels something's off. Trust it. Too many men silence their intuition out of fear of being alone or because they don't want to seem judgmental. But let me ask you, what's more important, keeping the peace in the moment or protecting your future from years of pain and regret? Second, don't get stuck believing you can love someone into changing their patterns. True transformation happens from the inside out, and it's rare. If she hasn't shown any awareness of these patterns or any desire to work on them, you're not her savior. You're just the next chapter in a story that keeps repeating itself. Finally, share what you've learned. Don't keep these insights to yourself. Comment, subscribe, and start conversations with other men who might be walking the same road. Your experience could be the lifeline someone else desperately needs. Gentlemen, your standards are not up for negotiation. Guard them fiercely. If you see the signs, be strong enough to walk away. The right relationship will never require you to lower your standards or ignore your instincts. Stay sharp, stay true to yourself, and remember your heart, your time, and your future are worth protecting, always. Gentlemen, as we wrap up this conversation, let's pause for a moment and talk about something that's bigger than just red flags or relationship warnings. Let's talk about standards, your standards. Because at the end of the day, every sign, every pattern, every moment of doubt boils down to this. Are you willing to protect the life and love you want, or are you ready to gamble it away on the hope that someone will change for you? Your standards are the boundaries that protect your future. They're the shield between you and years of wasted time, heartbreak and lost confidence. And here's the secret. Women respect men who know what they want, who stand firm, who are willing to walk away when something doesn't feel right. You don't need to explain yourself, justify your standards, or feel bad for saying no to patterns that have hurt you in the past. In fact, holding those standards is the very thing that separates men who build lasting, healthy relationships from those who keep repeating the same mistakes. So let's get real. Are you paying attention to the patterns, or are you making excuses? Are you honest with yourself about what you want, or are you just chasing the next thrill, hoping this time will be different? Because life has a way of repeating the same lesson until we finally learn it. And when it comes to love, the stakes couldn't be higher. Here's what I want you to remember. You're not here to judge, but to observe, to learn, to protect yourself. It's not about shaming anyone for their past, but about recognizing what their patterns mean for your future. Attraction is easy. Discernment is rare. The more you practice seeing through the noise, the stronger your instincts become. Don't let loneliness or impatience push you into ignoring red flags. The right relationship is built on respect, trust, and genuine emotional connection, not on hope fantasy or the illusion that you can fix someone who doesn't want to change. You deserve a partner who values you, who respects boundaries, and who's ready to do the work of building something real. So take these lessons seriously, reflect on your own experiences, and don't be afraid to share what you've learned. Your voice could help another man avoid years of pain and confusion. Drop a comment, subscribe for more real talk, and stay part of a community that lifts each other up. Remember, gentlemen, protect your heart, your time, and your standards, because you're building not just a relationship, but a life, and you deserve one you're proud of. Stay sharp, stay wise, and never settle for less than you know you deserve. As we bring this series to a close, I want you to pause and really let these lessons sink in. Because at the core of all these signs and patterns we've discussed isn't just about protecting yourself from heartbreak or wasted time. It's about taking ownership of your life as a man, about becoming the kind of leader, protector, and partner who doesn't just react to life but shapes it with intention. Let's be honest. No relationship, no matter how promising it looks in the beginning, will ever rise above the standards you set for yourself. If you ignore red flags, if you brush off your gut feelings, or if you fall into the trap of thinking you can change someone else, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Real change, the kind that leads to lasting love, true partnership, and self-respect, starts with you. Gentlemen, it's not about finding a flawless partner. It's about finding someone whose patterns, values, and vision for life align with yours. It's about seeing clearly, asking the tough questions, and being brave enough to walk away when something doesn't feel right. Remember, every pattern you ignore today can become the pain you carry tomorrow. But every standard you protect is an investment in your future happiness, your peace, and your sense of self-worth. And here's what separates men who thrive from men who struggle: the courage to share what you've learned. When you speak up, when you drop a comment, when you share your story, when you reach out to a brother who's walking down a dangerous path, you're not just helping yourself. You're building a community of men who look out for each other, who raise the bar, and who remind one another that we're not alone in this journey. Let this be your invitation. Don't just listen, take action. If something from this series hit home, if you recognized a pattern you've ignored, or if you've been through the pain of loving someone who wasn't ready, drop a comment below. Share your experience, your lesson, your warning. Because your voice could be the wake-up call another man desperately needs. As you move forward, remember your standards are your power. Your willingness to lead with courage to protect your boundaries and to inspire others by example is the mark of true strength. Don't settle. Don't compromise what matters. And never apologize for wanting the kind of love that builds you up instead of breaking you down. This is your moment. Step up, stand firm, and become the man you were meant to be. Thanks for joining me. Until next time. Keep growing, keep leading, and always protect your future. Before we wrap up, let me remind you everything we covered in this series isn't just theory. These are real-life patterns, hard-earned lessons, and wake-up calls that could save you years of frustration and regret. The truth is, every sign, every red flag, every gut feeling you get, it's there for a reason. Don't ignore it. Don't settle for less than the respect, connection, and partnership you know you deserve. You're not alone on this journey. Every man listening right now has felt the sting of disappointment, the confusion of mixed signals, or the frustration of chasing something that never quite becomes real. But the difference between men who grow and those who repeat the same mistakes is simple awareness and action. Now, you've got the awareness now, so use it. Take what you've learned, protect your standards, and never apologize for wanting more out of love and life. If this series made an impact, drop a comment below, share your story, and let's build a stronger community. One where men look out for each other, where we lift each other up, and where wisdom becomes our greatest strength. Subscribe for more real talk, and remember, your future is worth fighting for. Stay sharp, stay true, and take care of yourself.